Current Affairs.
This is Akashvani. In the weekly program Current Affairs, now we bring you a discussion on 9th edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha. The participants are Dr Jyoti Gupta, Educationalist, and Lalima Aneja Dang, anchor.
इस बात की है चिंता, इस बात का है अब डर,
कुछ भी नहीं कठिन है, हम ठान ले जो अगर
जीवन परीक्षाओं से है भरा, आओ करें परीक्षा पे चर्चा.
Come February, March and it's examination time for students in India, causing a lot of stress and anxiety among them. Prime Minister Narendra Modi started a series of light but meaningful chit-chat sessions with students few years ago to help them cope with examination stress, and these are called Pariksha Pe Charcha sessions. Well, we had the 9th edition recently where in a slight change of format, a cross-section of students from across the country met the Prime Minister and took his advice on how to beat examination stress and took home some great advice for exam preparation. Here's a report from our correspondent Shreya.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's unique interactive program Pariksha Pe Charcha is back with its 9th edition today. The Prime Minister addressed students on how to overcome stress and anxiety during exams. During the interaction, Mr. Modi advised students to trust their own unique learning patterns, emphasizing that no two individuals think or grow in the same way. The Prime Minister encouraged students to add their own experiences and self-understanding to any advice they receive instead of blindly copying others.
मेरा आपसे ये प्रश्न है कि जैसे हम पढ़ाई करते हैं उस समय पे हमें इधर उधर के बहुत सारे ख्याल आते हैं तो हम फोकस नहीं कर पाते, तो उस समय पे अपने आप को शांत कैसे रखें, क्योंकि हम पढ़ तो लेते हैं लेकिन बहुत जल्दी भूल जाते हैं.
अब जैसे आज यहाँ आप आए हैं, आज से 25 साल के बाद कोई आपको आज के इस कार्यक्रम के विषय में को पूछेगा तो क्या होगा? भूल जाएंगे कि याद रहेगा?
याद रखिए, बहुत यादगार रहेगा.
दूसरा, याद तब रहता है जब आप मौका देख करके दोस्तों से शेयर करते हो. आप अपने क्लास में अपने से जो कम होशियार जो स्टूडेंट है ऐसे एक दो को दोस्त बनाए और फिर उसको कहोगे मैं तुम्हें सिखाता. अपने से ऊपर का जो स्टूडेंट है हमसे ज्यादा होशियार है उसको कहो मैं 5-10 मिनट मेरे साथ बैठो, मुझे बताओ मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ ठीक है क्या, तुम करेक्ट करो, तो हमें डबल फायदा होगा.
यस सर.
जब हम उनका भी ओपिनियन लेते हैं फिर हमें और थॉट्स आते हैं कि इसमें और क्या हो सकता है,
तो इससे फायदा होता है.
जी सर.
नए नए आइडियाज आते हैं.
जी सर.
तो आपका मन एकदम खुल जाता.
Over the years, the program has evolved into a nationwide Jan Andolan, witnessing unprecedented participation from students, parents and teachers across the country. This year, the registrations for the 9th edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha had surpassed all previous benchmarks, with more than 4 crore 50 lakh students, teachers and parents registering through the My Government portal. The spontaneous inclusion of more and more stakeholders with Pariksha Pe Charcha over the time is a definite sign of the value that this program is bringing in the lives of all. For the first time, Pariksha Pe Charcha 2026 was introduced at multiple locations covering all parts of the country. Besides Delhi, Pariksha Pe Charcha was held in 4 different locations: Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, Raipur in Chhattisgarh, Devmogra in Gujarat and Guwahati in Assam, covering the east, west, north, south and centre of the country.
Well, for more on this, we are now joined by Dr Jyoti Gupta, eminent educationist. Welcome, Dr Gupta, to Akashvani.
Thank you so much.
Dr Gupta, what do you think is the main message that the Prime Minister is giving to students? And we also find that although it's happening year after year, every time you listen to his Pariksha Pe Charcha, there is a new perspective to it, to how to beat the examination stress. How do you view that?
Absolutely. I've been attending this program. My children have been attending this program ever since 2018 that it had begun. And I have seen its impact on the students, teachers, and the parents over all these years. Children now wait for this event, and the children have read Exam Warriors, the book that was written by our Honorable Prime Minister. And the very fact that examinations and stress is given so much of an importance that the Prime Minister is talking to the students and parents and teachers and telling them as to how to combat this pressure and not to take it as pressure at all. In fact, take it like a celebration, take it like an utsav. The examinations are nothing but they are just to show to the world as to how much I've learnt, and I just have to write these examinations to know about myself and not to compete with others. So it has given a new meaning. The children can now go back to the parents and tell them not to pressurize them, as the Prime Minister himself says that it is not a failure of life if you are not able to do well in one particular examination. The idea is to convert these high-stake examinations, that is the board examinations, into something that is not as high-stake. That is why 2 board examinations have also started. The entire crux of the National Education Policy 2020 was to take away the pressure of these competitive examinations and the examinations that are there for the students of 10th and 12th. The impact may not be seen right now, but over the next decade, we will be able to see the impact of all the policies that have come in and the way the pressure is going to go down. Even this budget spoke about the skill education, developing certain centers of excellence whereby the students do not just get bogged down with academics and they do not just have to go and give the competitive examinations for medical or for the engineering, but find different pathways that are creative, that are entrepreneurial, that drive innovation. So I'm sure the beginning is great and we are going to see its impact soon.
Many students share their experiences of getting highly motivated by the book Exam Warriors, which has been penned by Prime Minister Modi.
पहले जो था ना, हमें बाकी को देखने में डर लगता था कि भाई वो कैसे पढ़ रहा है, वो कैसे पढ़ रहा है, लेकिन एग्जाम वॉरियर पढ़ने के बाद याद आया कि मेरा टेक्निक जो है वो सबसे डिफरेंट है और मेरा टेक्निक मुझ में ही काम करेगा. सर, आई यूज्ड टू बी स्कैर्ड ऑफ डिसिप्लिन बट नॉट, आई डोंट हैव एनी फियर.
I used to be scared of time management, but it is my friend now. सर, मैं बचपन से मतलब मुझे हमेशा घर वाले, स्कूल वाले, दोस्त, मतलब मैंने हमेशा टाइम मैनेजमेंट में ही स्ट्रगल किया है. मुझे हर कोई बोलता है हर काम जल्दी कर, तो टैलेंटेड है, तुझे आइडियाज आते हैं, बट तो टाइम पे नहीं करती है, वही तेरा सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है. तो सब मैंने एग्जाम वॉरियर से सीखा है. मैं रोज सुबह जल्दी उठूंगी.
मैं एक सिंपल और रास्ता बताता हूँ. रात को आप जब सो जाए ना, उसके पहले डायरी में लिखो कि कल मुझे जो बिल्कुल करने ही करने ऐसे कौन से काम, और दूसरा फिर आज जो लिखा है तो दूसरे दिन टैली करो हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, और टिक मार करो. कल मैंने लिखा था कि मैं आज 5 काम करूं, लेकिन 3 ही किया, तो टिक मार करो, 2 रह गए. फिर सोचो 2 कौन रह गए. मैंने दोस्तों के साथ फोन पे ज्यादा बात कर ली, तो आपको खुद को लगेगा हाँ ये मैं समय बचा सकता. कभी कभी क्या होता है, हमें पता ही नहीं होता है कि हम समय कैसे बर्बाद करते. जीवन में अगर टाइम मैनेजमेंट सीख लिए और समय का प्रोडक्टिव यूज सीख लिया, तो आप देखिए आप कभी भी प्रेशर नहीं लगेगा, थकान नहीं लगेगी.
Dr. Gupta, do you think that children today face more pressure than previous generations because the competition has become tough? Also because a whole ecosystem is created. You know, you see some children going and attending coaching classes, others don't. It becomes a kind of a rat race for most of them. And another thing I'd like to ask you is that do we see the cropping up of alternative professions, like you can now be a YouTuber and earn money? Orange economy is what they're calling it. We also had the mention in the budget. How do you view the change of options over a period of time?
I think this is a very conscious move because everybody wants to be a graduate, everybody wants to be an engineer without thinking as to what are they going to do with the engineering. Even the students who go to IIT either end up going abroad or they end up doing the MBA programs, not contributing to the engineering bit as much as they should be. So the entire system of dummy schools, the entire system of these coaching centers, something has to be done about them, because what are we giving to the society? Are we expecting these children who are not able to take on the pressure at all of going to a regular school and doing doing the competitive examinations, are they going to take us towards Viksit Bharat? That's a big question. So the idea is that the school education be strengthened in a manner that all the competitions that happen have to have an element of school education. On one side, we are talking about the national education policy, the new curriculum frameworks that have come in for school education, for foundational stage. We are talking about vocational education. We are talking about skill education. And on the other side, coaching centers are there. If the students are going to go to the coaching centers and not remain in schools, then what education are we talking about? What holistic education are we talking about?
Exactly.
A little bit of pressure is good for the students, but a lot of career counseling has to be done for the students, right from class 8, right from class 9, where we start talking about what are the different professions that are there. And we talk about the creative professions, we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about creating jobs rather than going and seeking jobs. And of course, the orange economy that we are talking about now, there's so many games that are being played. So there's so much of creativity around. There's so much of content. There's so much of artificial intelligence that is there.
Right.
So everything has to be looked after. Everything has to be taken care of. Now, if we are not going to look after all these things and we are not going to pay attention to this, the pressure on the children is going to mount. See, the pressure on the children wasn't as much when we were growing up because the competition wasn't as much. You know, if I talk about my school, there were hardly 2 sections in my school. But now if I see the number of students in every school are 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. There are so many IITs now. There are so many medical colleges which have opened in the past 2 decades. Now, the number of students, we are a young country. So the number of students in this age group have grown also. But unfortunately, the number of seats in the higher education haven't increased that much. So we only are able to cater to about 25% of the entire student population in the higher education. So if we are not going to give them alternatives, then there's going to be more pressure. The 2023 report of UNESCO shows 13,000 plus suicides amongst the adolescents.
Yes.
So that is another kind of reality, that these are the students who are probably in the coaching centers. They are going to places like Kota where they follow one another, but they are actually not working on their own capabilities and competencies. Having said that, it is important to counsel the children. It is important to tell them various career options. It is important to guide the parents so that these pressures can be taken off them.
In a reply to another question, Prime Minister Modi says, exam is not the ultimate goal. Exam is a means to an ultimate goal, which is far more holistic, which is far bigger than just the exam.
जिंदगी परीक्षा के लिए नहीं है, हमारे जीवन को बनाने के लिए शिक्षा एक माध्यम है और हम शिक्षा सही करते हैं, गलत करते हैं तो बार बार हम अपने एग्जाम करते हैं. तो ये जो एग्जाम है वो हमें अपने आप को एग्जामिन करने के लिए एग्जाम है. अल्टीमेट गोल एग्जाम के नंबर नहीं हो सकता है. अल्टीमेट गोल संपूर्ण जीवन के विकास का होना चाहिए.
Dr. Gupta, you talked about suicide among students. Yes, that's a harsh reality. That's the one extreme, but the other extreme also is that many go through a terrible stress, and sometimes we see that parents also become a source of stress and anxiety because there is a competition among parents also. The neighbor's child has done well and you need to do well, or they see their own aspirations in their children. I want to ask you that are schools or perhaps NEP, are we well equipped to probably take advantage of yoga and meditation, because India is a Vishwaguru in this field. Generally, we do not teach children how to cope with stress, and that is where schools use these traditional medium of yoga and meditation to de-stress our children.
Absolutely. Yoga has always been a very integral part of the school education in India. All schools have been practicing yoga, especially with the primary school, because it's there that the children learn. But now all the children in the school, they are encouraged to do yoga. They are encouraged to breathe properly, because once they know how to breathe properly, they can meditate, they can do yoga, and that can be a stress buster. And of course, you know, when we talk about the stress amongst students, it's time management, it is not eating correctly, and the parents use the the report cards or the progress cards of the students as their visiting cards or as their trophies.
Correct.
And they discuss amongst themselves. They compare the students, and forever the discussion on the dining table is that so-and-so's child is doing this. Why are you not able to do that? So I would say that the parents have to stop comparing the students. And the Prime Minister also said that they should not be used as trophies or the visiting cards.
Right.
And they should be encouraged for their unique capability. They should be allowed to innovate. They should be allowed to be. So when we talk about the new national education policy and we talk about the national curriculum framework, we talk about the foundational stage, it is based on 5 koshas. It is based on Annamaya Kosh. That is, your physical well-being is extremely important. What you're doing with your body is extremely important. What you're putting in your body is extremely important. So what you're eating, your healthy eating, that's why CBSE came out with the oil boards and the sugar boards. Because our entire country suffers from obesity and diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
So the children at this stage, when they are just 3 years, 4 years, they should understand they should not be eating chocolates or sugar. That is unnecessary. They should not be eating oily food or junk food. So Annamaya Kosh. The second is the Pranmaya Kosh. That is how you breathe is very, very important, because if you breathe shallow, and your body is not able to carry oxygen to every part, every organ, then you are not well enough. The third is the Manomaya Kosh, that is your mental well-being, is extremely important. So when you talk about yoga, it actually touches all 3, physical well-being, the mental well-being, and of course the way you are breathing, Manomaya also, and the Pranmaya also. Then comes the Vijnamaya, that is the cognitive development of the child, whereby the academics, how the child is studying, all that comes in. And then 5th is, of course, the Anandmaya Kosh, the joyful learning, the spiritual well-being of the child.
Right.
So we are in schools now focusing on all the 5 koshas.
Another thing that we find is there's a huge gap between the industry and the education. It is often said that students who pass out from colleges, they're not even adept at writing an application. So actually there is a gap between what the industry demands and what the children come out with after they have earned their degree. Now, in this, we know that the government is very serious about skills, and that is why it has a separate skill ministry. This government started out with a skill ministry. One of the questions which a child asked the Prime Minister was, what is more important, marks or skills? What is your take on that?
Absolutely, skills are more important. Soft skills, professional skills, communication as a skill, as a competency. Then critical thinking, collaboration and creativity are very important. Now, when you look at people working in the farmlands, our farmers, did they ever bother about marks?
Correct.
Did they even go to the school? But they know all the science. They have all the skills. So skills are more important. At the end of the day, a good education is an education that is going to build skills into the children.
Right, and that includes social skills and professional skills. Sabawat Venkatesh voices the concerns of many students nowadays. What is more important, skills or marks? And the answer by the Prime Minister is very balanced. Yes, he says, a balance between skill and marks.
मेरा नाम सबावत वेंकटेश है।
हाँ, वेंकटेश गारू बताइए।
तो सर, अभी मुझे है ना टेक्नोलॉजी और रोबोटिक्स में बहुत इंटरेस्ट है। तो आजकल कई बार आपने भी बोला था कि स्किल ज्यादा जरूरी है, और बाहर भी लोग बोलते हैं मार्क्स ज्यादा जरूरी है, स्किल जरूरी है, मार्क्स ज्यादा जरूरी है। ऐसा ही सोच सोच के हमारे अंदर एक डर बैठ जाता है। तो आप बताइए कि स्किल ज्यादा जरूरी है या फिर मार्क्स ज्यादा जरूरी है?
ये जो मन में रहता है ना कि इसका महत्व है कि उसका महत्व है, खाने का महत्व है कि सोने का महत्व है, पढ़ने का महत्व है कि खेलने का महत्व है, उसका एक कॉमन जवाब होता है, हर चीज में संतुलन होना चाहिए, बैलेंस होना चाहिए। एक तरफ झुकोगे तो गिरोगे कि नहीं गिरोगे?
यस सर।
और सही बैलेंस करके रहोगे तो गिरोगे क्या कभी?
नो सर।
तो ये सिंपल सी बात है।
Dr. Gupta, what do you think is the biggest challenge today's student faces? I just spoke about digital distraction. There are others too. There's a rat race around them, as I just mentioned, apart from the digital addiction. How do you think a child can cope with all this?
You know, if you ask me today, one of the greatest challenges that they have is of the validation. They look for validation everywhere. They look for validation with their parents. They look for validation with their teachers. They look for validation with their peers and with the world outside through social media. What they are doing is on the social media. What they're eating is on the social media. Where are they traveling is on the social media. What they're wearing is on the social media. This instant gratification and coping up with the peer pressure is something that this generation is facing as a challenge. Everything is hunky-dory that is online for them. Every life that they see online is perfect. And life is actually not about perfections. It is about imperfections. It is not about success all the time. It is about not succeeding at times also. So they have to understand that interacting with each other, being social, being able to go out and play, being able to go out and interact with more people is more important than being with the devices. And let me tell you, the addiction that they have of the devices is something that is, and the addiction to the internet is something that is going beyond the schools also. We come across the children who are out of school, the same age group, even they are addicted. Whether they are going to a school or they are not going to a school, they all have the smartphones. They are using internet in one or the other way. We have to realize that this is a pandemic and we have to address that. There are countries which are putting ban. There are other countries, they've put ban. We as a country also have to think about this. Otherwise, the stress is going to go to another level. There are so many collaborative games that the children are playing. They don't want to leave the internet. They don't want to go out and interact. The parents get up and they check their phone first. I mean, it's a joke. There are so many memes that there are people sitting on the same table. Instead of interacting with each other, they are interacting with strangers outside.
Correct.
So, I mean, we have to address this because this is something that is creating a greater pressure on the children to be absolutely perfect and to get the validation of what they are doing all the time and instant gratification that internet can give to them.
Srishti Sahu from Chhattisgarh. She talks about lack of focus and wonders how you can retain 100%. And the answer from the Prime Minister is, well, be 100% in the present moment without distraction and you will be able to memorize.
जब मैंने उनसे क्वेश्चन पूछा, मैंने डायरेक्ट इंटरैक्ट किया उनसे और उन्होंने मुझे सेटिस्फैक्टरी आंसर दिया, तब ऐसा लग रहा था कि वी आर लिविंग आवर ड्रीम, क्योंकि यहाँ आना सबकी किस्मत में नहीं रहता. सो आई एम फीलिंग दैट आई एम वेरी फॉर्चुनेट.
A young student from Imphal shares her date of birth with the Prime Minister. That is the 17th of September. And the Prime Minister shares a light banter with her.
जैन सर, मेरा नाम हेमोता के शाम है. मैं सैनिक स्कूल इम्फाल मणिपुर से आई हूँ. सर, आप बचपन से मेरी एक बहुत बड़ी इंस्पिरेशन रही है और मेरा जन्मदिन भी आपके साथ ही आता है.
अच्छा, मुझे अभी एक नेता ने फोन किया था मेरे जन्मदिन पर, 17 सितंबर को. तो उसने मुझे कहा कि आपके 75 हो गए. बोले अभी 25 बाकी है. मैंने कहा तो मैं जो बीता है उसको गिनता नहीं हूँ, जो बचा है उसको गिनता हूँ. और इसलिए जीवन में मैं आपको भी कहता हूँ, बीता है उसकी गिनती में समय बर्बाद मत कीजिए. जो बचा है उसको जीने के लिए सोचिए.
A young girl from Sikkim has written a patriotic song. Yes, she writes songs. And this song has been in 3 languages, Hindi, Nepalese and Bengali. She shares the song with the Prime Minister.
नमस्ते सर.
नमस्ते.
मैं श्रेया प्रधान हूँ सिक्किम से. सर, सो एक सेल्फ कंपोज सॉन्ग है. सो ये 3 लैंग्वेजेस में लिखा हुआ है.
अरे वाह.
हिंदी, नेपाली और बंगाली में. सो ये देशभक्ति का सॉन्ग है. इसका टाइटल मैंने रखा है हमारा भारत भूमि.
तो आपको कविता लिखने का शौक है?
यस सर. सो कविता, सो मैं वो नेचर के बारे में लिखती हूँ ज्यादातर.
अच्छा, नेचर के विषय में.
भानु जयंती ने भी लिखा था एक दो बार. यस सर.
चलिए सुनाइए.
हमारा भारत भूमि है, ऋषियों का ये देश है. हमारा भारत भूमि है, ऋषियों का ये देश है. अनेकता में एकता, शांति का परिवेश है. अनेकता में एकता, शांति का परिवेश है. देवी देवता को प्रिय वासियों, मानवता मौला एक उठानियो.
शाबाश, बहुत सुंदर, बहुत सुंदर. देश की एकता की बात बताई. एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत.
Another student, Mansi, has a motivational song, beautifully sung.
मानसी, तुम्हें तो आता होगा बेटा कुछ गाना?
यस सर।
कौन सा गाओगी
गाना
बताओ?
सुनाना चाहती हूँ।
हाँ सुनाओ।
सर ये गाना मेरी मदर ने लिखा है और ये गाना जो है ये स्टूडेंट्स को डेडिकेटेड है।
अच्छा सुनाओ।
बढ़ता चल तू बढ़ता चल, करता चल कुछ करता चल, सारी दुनिया तेरे पीछे मुश्किलों से लड़ता चल, सारी दुनिया तेरे पीछे मुश्किलों से लड़ता चल, बढ़ता चल तू आगे बढ़ता चल।
वाह शानदार, आपकी माता जी को मेरी बधाई दे देना।
थैंक यू सर।
बहुत इंस्पायरिंग लिखा है माँ ने।
A young boy asks the Prime Minister how to match the teacher's speed if the teacher is going ahead of his own speed. And the Prime Minister says, well, it's okay, not too bad if the speed is not too high.
नर्मदे सर।
नर्मदे यार।
सर मेरा नाम आयुष तिवारी है। सर तो मेरा प्रश्न यह है कि अक्सर कई बार हम स्कूल या टीचर की स्पीड से मैच नहीं कर पाते और जो छूट जाता है हम उसे कवर करने के चक्कर में आगे के चैप्टर्स भी मिस करते जाते हैं और हम पीछे रह जाते हैं। तो इस सिचुएशन में हम कैसे अपने उसको मैनेज?
आपकी टीचर के खिलाफ शिकायत है?
लो सर।
लेकिन आपने बड़ी चतुराई से टीचर के खिलाफ अपनी कंप्लेन बता ली, तो मैं जवाब टीचर के लिए देता हूँ।
यस सर।
टीचर का प्रयास रहना चाहिए कि स्टूडेंट की ये स्पीड है, एक कदम ज्यादा स्पीड मेरी रहेगी, ज्यादा नहीं। हमारा लक्ष्य ऐसा होना चाहिए जो पहुंच में हो लेकिन पकड़ में न हो।
यस सर।
सर एग्जाम वॉरियर में भी लिखा है मंत्र 26, गोल शुड बी विद इन रीच बट नॉट इजीली अचीवेबल।
वाह, सब याद रखते हैं आप लोग। लेकिन 50 कदम आगे चला जाएगा तो स्टूडेंट कहेगा ये तो चला गया, मेरा काम नहीं है। जैसे किसान खेत को जोतता है ना, स्टूडेंट के मन को जोतना चाहिए। इसका तरीका क्या है? मान लीजिए जनवरी के तीसरे सप्ताह में वो हिस्ट्री का ये पार्ट पढ़ाने वाले हैं, तो जनवरी 1 तारीख को बता दे भाई पहले वीक में हिस्ट्री का ये पार्ट पढ़ाऊंगा, दूसरे वीक में हिस्ट्री का ये पार्ट पढ़ाऊंगा, तीसरे वीक में हिस्ट्री का ये पार्ट पढ़ाऊंगा। तो आपको पता है कि आने वाले 3 सप्ताह में ये 3 विषय आने वाले हैं। फिर वो कहेगा ऐसा करो, आप मैं पढ़ाऊं उसके पहले पढ़ना शुरू कर दो, पढ़ करके आओ, किसको पूछ के आओ। हाँ, गूगल पे जाके कुछ करना है तो वहाँ करके आ जाओ।
यस सर।
और उसके बाद एक्चुअली जब पाठ पढ़ाएंगे तो क्या होगा?
सर हमें क्यूरियोसिटी होगी, हमें ज्यादा समझ आएगा क्योंकि हमने पहले से पढ़ा होगा,
फोकस भी और अच्छा रहेगा।
मानसी
सर अगर कोई चैप्टर हमें बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग लगता है तो हमें उसको और समझने की और जानने की इच्छा होगी, जिससे हमें और अच्छे से रिवाइज हो जाएगा वो चैप्टर।
बताइए, सिंपल सा काम है ना?
यस सर।
फिर आपको टीचर की स्पीड का प्रॉब्लम आएगा? नहीं आएगा। आप पीछे रह गए ऐसा भाव आएगा? क्यों? क्योंकि आप टीचर से एक कदम आगे चले गए। मन को जोतो, फिर मन को जोड़ो और फिर आपको पढ़ाई के जो विषय रखने हैं रखो, तो आप स्टूडेंट को हमेशा सफल पाओगे।
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti Gupta, for talking to us and throwing light on how our kids can cope with examination stress. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
आओ करें परीक्षा पे चर्चा, इस अमृत काल में खुल के मुस्कुरा। आओ करें परीक्षा पे चर्चा, किस बात की है चिंता, किस बात का है अब डर, कुछ भी नहीं कठिन है, हम ठान ले जो अगर।
You were listening to a discussion on 9th edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha. The participants were Dr. Jyoti Gupta, Educationalist, and Lalima Aneja Dang, Anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.
Current Affairs.